Thank you. The next one is 1334. Any other? Deputy Kelly?
Yeah, thanks to Deputy Horrigan for raising this. I'm sorry I wasn't available when they were in. The issues that you raised in relation to Cork, I'm quite familiar with actually as well. So it was a good example to bounce us into a pretty larger issue. And like, this is a real topic that we should be getting our teeth into, because as regards analysis, you'll probably see that some regions are very different to others, which, by the way, isn't acceptable. Okay, so that means that there could be different kind of strategies or views or maybe policies depending on who's actually in charge, which is kind of a bit more of a whim than anything. So I think this is something that needs an awful lot of analysis. There's a huge volume of work here, colleagues, because you've got to think about this in an overall capital side, service side. Then you've got to break it down by discipline, whether it's mental health, whether it's disability, whether it's whatever. I mean, there's huge. And you'll probably see that in some cases that in some regions it may be done quite well. In other disciplines may not be, depending on the makeup or priorities or everything. So I think this is a good way of kicking it off. I would say though that we probably should focus in on one discipline first, maybe, because if we throw the net too far, we might get very far. But if we tighten it up and maybe go across the CHO regions in relation to
mental health,
whatever Nessa decides, because in fairness she has sparked this. Mental health is probably the one, and maybe go from there, Chair. That's what I would suggest as an add-on.
Could you suggest that we would add Erkna House into it? Erkna House, that we do a similar examination, because it's going through the same process at the moment. You know, it has been paused for a review, which wasn't done prior to the decision being actually made to close it and to move the people out of it. Deputy Murphy.
I'd actually agree about narrowing the focus, and we did have the HSE in relation to mental health not that long ago. The problem is that you could have the HSE in here every week. You could have them in for a month on one topic.
Once a week.
And the problem is that you're not getting to that structure, which is, you know, and like it's like a postcode lottery as well, with different parts of the country. So I think this is probably one that we could even focus on one particular region, even one CHO area, and do a granular look at it from the wider sense of value for money. And as has been defined, like, it's not just about what we spend, it's about the services and the quality of the services that we get for what we spend. And I you know, where we tend to put big ticket items on the agenda, and where we have the HSE in, we often go out feeling pretty frustrated. And I think it would be better if we did one thing and did it really well in terms of drilling down at that value for money, because then we'll be able to do a comparator with other areas if we had a full sense of the workings, the inner workings. And I think we should be thinking about doing that in the autumn, but let's explore the particular questions so as that we've gathered sufficient information to put a shape on that.